Good morning, and we're continuing. We're going to start with the latter half of Acts 7:42, and then get to through to verse 44. Stephen's sermon is so rich, and so we're continuing. He's on trial, and he's preaching Bible, as it is written in the book of the prophets. And now Stephen's going to quote from the book of Amos. This tells me that to study the Old Testament is a requirement in order to be a New Testament Christian. Because as we look through the New Testament, they're quoting nothing but the Old Testament. So if a Christian rejects the Old Testament, they're not really Christian. Now that's kind of harsh, but because they quote the Old Testament, it's God's inspired word. It's going to continue teaching us, and it's going to tell us even more about Jesus. Amos has quoted, and this is out of Amos 5. It says, verse 42, "Did you bring to me slain beasts and sacrifices during the 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? You looked up the tent, or took up the tent of Moloch, the star of the god Rapha, the images that you made to worship, and I will send you into exile beyond Babylon." And this passage, the prophet begins the passage by saying, I despise your feasts. I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Does God hate your church? And if it's not following the word of God, the word is yes. Especially when the church is lying. And that's what this is. Following these gods. Now you say, well, I don't follow these gods. Oh, wait to hear this one. Moloch. 40 years Israel sacrificed and followed Moloch, the god of the Ammonites. Now, Ammonite is somewhat related to Abraham's brother Lot. And it was a seated idol with outstretched arms, and they would heat up like the bottom of this idol like a furnace, and it had an opening in its stomach. Then they would take their children, infants, put them on this heated up idol, and literally fry the child to death. I really have to say, today, thank God we don't destroy children, especially the unborn. According to Guttmacher, a statistician, he said in 1991, the U.S. carried out 1.5 million legal abortions. Abortion has become a means of birth control. About 2/3 more than in 2020. In 2020, we only destroyed 930,160 unborn children, sacrificed to Moloch. Now, the star Rapha that's mentioned is usually associated with the planet Saturn, and they watched it move in the heavens and as they wandered, and they often associated it with the tabernacle of Moloch. And it says that's where he speaks from. Is he look in the sky and look how big our God is. We've got a tent, Israel's got a tent. Look how big the Moloch God has. It has Saturn. So we're going to pick up from there as we continue with our study. We're going to begin with verse 44, our next study.